GamingBolt presents 15 rooms in video games that will scare you beyond belief. Sometimes a game in its entirety isn't really all that scary, but a part of it can be unexpectedly terrifying. Conversely, there are times when maybe a game is chillingly scary, but there is a particular room or section in it that manages to stand out even more so, either through pure in-your-face horror, or through its implications, or in some other unexplainable way. This is a feature about 15 such rooms in video games. Child's Room in the Attic, Time Splitter's Future Perfect. There were quite a lot of sections in Time Splitter's Future Perfect that were quite unsettling. The boss fight against the Deer Haunter comes to mind, while another more disconcerting section of the game came when players entered what looks like it used to be a child's room in the attic of the Mansion of Madness. The room, if viewed in a fleeting glance, is featureless and unremarkable, but if you spend even a second in there, you start to notice that a lot is not quite right. There's a rocking horse that is constantly rocking and blood stains on the wall, while you can also hear loud banging noises and unsettling voices from behind the walls. MILLA'S Secret Room, Psychonauts. A level in Psychonauts sees you plummet the depths of MILLA'S mind. It's a bit of a trip, strobe lights from the disco era, colorful walls, reflections, and mirrors, that kind of thing. More notably, there's a room hidden inside of her mind. If you approach the room over MILLA'S warning you not to go there, you find the true tormented core of her psyche, with fiery figures that will circle you and accuse you of letting them die. Figures that, as you will find out, represent children from an orphanage that MILLA used to work at, which burned down. What the hell, Psychonauts? RATTMAN'S Dens, Portal 2. RATTMAN'S Dens and Portal 2 are not one single room, but a collection of various rooms that you can find throughout the game, but you can pick out any one of them and it would belong on this list. These rooms are representations of Ratman's tortured and manic psyche, his rambling mind, and his schizophrenic state that it was left in. The walls are covered in weird scribbles and drawings. There are often dioramas for you to see that represent Ratman's state of mind, while you can also often hear the jumbled, senseless sound of his voice. School Classroom, Gray. When you first enter this room, it seems like an ordinary classroom, brightly lit, littered with classroom tables, essentially a room that doesn't look all that scary. It quickly becomes clear, though, that things are a little bit off in here. The lights quickly begin to flicker, and within the blink of an eye, the tables in the room suddenly disappear, with a piece of paper lying in the center of the room. If you make the mistake of picking it up and looking at it, with the next flicker of the lights comes a total and complete distortion of your surroundings, with the classroom suddenly becoming a dilapidated, dimly lit, ruined version of itself, while beastly infant-like things come charging at the player, making weird, unsettling noises. It's creepy, to say the least. Phobos Labs Conference Room, Doom 3. The conference room you find in Phobos Labs in Doom 3 is by all accounts a pretty ordinary room. It's just a long table surrounded by office chairs facing a whiteboard all behind a glass wall. In short, it's the textbook definition of a conference room. So why exactly is it so unsettling? Well, because when you enter the room, you can hear a low, demonic gurgling noise, and there's no explanation for it at all, nor does the game follow up on it, nor do you hear it anywhere else in the entire game. It's just there. It's one of those things that's so scary because of the fact that it's always remained unexplained. The Bathroom, Slender. Slender can be a pretty scary game when it wants to be, but the bathroom in the game is perhaps one of the most terrifying areas in the entire game. It's not so scary because of jump scares or because of anything too obvious. It is scary because of how scary your own mind makes it. As you walk through its tight, cramped corridors, you can feel the tension and terror within yourself building palpably, and every time you turn around a corner, you can feel yourself clenching all over, preparing yourself for what you might see. It's your own paranoia that makes it all so bad. TOLUCA Prison, Silent Hill 2. More specifically, I'm speaking of the cell block room in the TOLUCA prison, which is a perfect illustration of how masterful all of Silent Hill 2 is at slowly and torturously building up its psychological horror. While you're in the cells, you can hear the heavy footsteps of something walking around in the vicinity, while you also hear the terrifying noises it is making. Due to the game's fixed camera nature, it cleverly never shows you what that is making all of those noises, but their very presence and the fact that you can never quite see them is enough to set your teeth on edge. Kids Room, Prey 2006. The kids' room in 2006's Prey was disturbing for a number of reasons, the most prominent being the fact that it seemed to imply that children from Earth were abducted and brought there and, well, not kept in the best of conditions. To begin with, you can see blood all around, with unsettling phrases such as "save us" or "I want to go home" written in blood on the walls. There's a certain part of the room where you can see shadows of little children frantically moving about, while you can also hear the sounds and cries of children. Soon, players are attacked by children that have been possessed. Yeah, discomforting to say the least. The Storage Room, Condemned 2. The storage room in the apartment complex in Condemned 2 is creepy as shit. As you walk in, you see a mannequin just standing there. Okay, no big deal, weird, but nothing to fret about. But then, as you turn around, and suddenly, there are a bunch more mannequins there as well, where none were a second ago, all just standing there and staring in your direction. Then as you enter another section of the building, the lights suddenly go out, and then the moment you turn around to leave, you see more mannequins suddenly having appeared behind you once again, this time blocking your path of exit. Condemned fans might be familiar with these mannequins, but that familiarity sure does nothing to allay the sheer stab of panic you feel when they appear right behind you out of nowhere all of a sudden. Wade Elementary School Hallway, Fear 2. There are a number of areas in the entire Fear franchise that could have easily made this list, but I doubt any of them even come close to the sheer terror that the Wade Elementary School hallway in Fear 2 invokes in the player. The sheer darkness in the area makes it all feel very suffocating and claustrophobic, while the cacophony of screams mingled with the fleeting appearances by Alma every now and then, not to mention the ghostly apparitions players can also catch glimpses of so often, only all come together to make the entire place even more terrifying. Room 311, Fatal Frame 4. Room 311 in Fatal Frame 4 is environmental horror at its best. From the connections it has to the game's story and its history, to the way the entire room just gives off an unearthly, unsettling aura, everything just serves to create a truly uncomfortable atmosphere. You don't ever feel like spending too much time in there, surrounded by the coffins in the room, or the strange photographs, or the creepy-looking limbless mannequin that turns around and looks at you when you're looking at it in the viewfinder mode. Ghost Room, Metro Last Light. With its claustrophobic environments and generally strong sense of atmosphere, basically all of Metro Last Light, like its predecessor, had the ability to keep you on the edge of your seat, but this particular area was disconcerting. While you're driving through the underground tunnels, you can stop and look at several optional side rooms. One of these rooms is marked by a number of overturned hospital beds, and as you venture further inside, you start to hear whispers, and strange shadowy, wispy figures start appearing in the periphery of your vision, lying strewn about or even hanging off of the ceiling, and they disappear as soon as you shine your light in their direction. The more time you spend here, the stronger these hallucinations get. Mannequin Room, Condemned Criminal Origins. What is it with all of these weird mannequins in video games? Is there something inherently unnerving about plastic humans? They certainly seem to be the common denominator. Well, once again, a Condemned game features on this list, and once again, it's about mannequins. This area is actually quite similar to the one you see in the sequel, with the mannequins appearing out of thin air and seemingly literally stalking the player. It's all quite unsettling. Mirror Room, Silent Hill 3. There is a particular bathroom in Silent Hill 3 with a large mirror that covers the entirety of one of its walls. I hate that mirror. The door of the bathroom locks behind you as soon as you enter, and as you look in the mirror, you see the reflected version of the room you're in slowly getting distorted and getting covered in black corruption. Weirdly, the corruption spreads outwards, reaching out of the mirror and starting affecting the actual room itself. Soon, your own reflection in the mirror simply stops moving. It's really scary in the most Silent Hill way possible. It messes with your mind. The Hallway, PT. Yet another Silent Hill game, or, well, what could technically have become a Silent Hill game in a perfect world. The Hallway in the Hideo Kojima developed demo known as PT amounted for a huge portion of the game's gameplay time, and it was truly terrifying. Its constant distortions and the general atmosphere it gradually builds with relentless intensity makes the entire experience suffocatingly terrifying, while the repeated encounters with Lisa's ghost and their progressively growing intensity only serve to make things even scarier. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.